Shanakiyan මන්ත්‍රීතුමා.
අර කතානායකතුමනි මේ ඇත්තම මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් පොඩ්ඩක් මිඩලා පාලනය කරන්න හොඳයි. මට නිකන් ඉස්කෝලේ ගියා උදේ පාන්දර. මොකද ඇත්තටම මේ කතානායකතුමනි හවස් කරුවේ කතා කරන මන්ත්‍රීවරු පව්. දෙන්නේ විනාඩි 5යි අන්තිම හම්බෙන්නේ විනාඩි 3යි. ඒක නිසා ඒ දේ එතන කියන්න ඕනේ. අනිතක ඒ වගේම ඉන්ටර්නෙට් විජේකාන්ත් වියස්කාන්ත அவர்கள் யாழ் மாவட்டத்தை சேர்ந்த நேற்றைய தினம் எல்பிஏ போட்டியில் டெஃப்னஸ் அடியன்ஸ் அன்னைக்கு போட்டியிட்டு இந்த நாட்டில் தமிழரை பெருமைப்படுத்திய விஜயகாந்த் வியஸ்காந்த் அவர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய வாழ்த்துக்களையும் இன்றைய தினத்தில் என்னுடைய அவர்களுடைய பிறந்தநாள் வாழ்த்துக்களையும் இந்த இடத்தில் நான் சொல்ல விரும்புகிறேன். In this house, first of all, I would like to state that I was actually elected to parliament. I'm not a nationalist MP. I heard there were some rumors about me saying that I was given a slot on the national list, but I was actually elected to parliament and I got the highest number of preferential votes in the Batiklo district for the TNA because a couple of members came and asked me if I was a nationalist MP, so I have to put that on record. I'm very happy to speak today on this debate which we are debating about tourism ministry, Ministry of Ports and Shipping and the State Ministry of Aviation and I think export development zones. I'm very happy to speak today because I feel that these areas really need to be given attention in the north and east of Sri Lanka because these areas really could help transform the economy of the north and the east of this area. I attended the consultative committee meetings of both the Ports and Shipping Ministry and the Tourism Ministry and I raised some questions there and it was very unfortunate to note that some of the projects that had happened in the previous government, I think the present government officials were not aware of it. When I raised some questions regarding the Thalimana ferry, I think I was told that there was something that was done in 2001. But in fact, I have a letter here that was sent by the former State Minister for Tourism, Honorable Ranjit Aluvihare, had sent to the Indian Sri Lankan High Commission in India, and also various meetings had been held within Sri Lanka as well with regards to restarting the Thalimana ferry. However, the officials were not really aware of these issues. So I feel that it is really important that we look at the work that has been done by previous governments before we go ahead with any new proposals, because these resources that may have been spent on these project proposals would otherwise be a waste. So we need to look at, because irrespective of what government is in power now, we need to look at work that has been done in the previous government so we can start from where we have stopped. Because if we start now, by the time the government's term is over or there's a cabinet reshuffle, then it will be a new set of proposals that will start. So I'd like to bring that to the Honorable Minister's attention. Because the tourism industry is the fourth largest revenue earning industry in Sri Lanka. However, it's very sad that in the last 2 years, this industry has been hit really hard. Initially by the Easter tax and then because of the COVID. So I think the Honorable Prasad Ranathan has been given a very tough task to restart this industry, and I think he's a very capable minister, and I think he will be able to turn this around, and we are very much willing to support the Honorable Minister in these endeavors by helping him identify resources and also supporting them develop these resources in the north and the east. At the consultative committee meeting, they mentioned that there were some systems being looked at when the airport is open for large-scale hotels to be opened up. But I'd like to request this House and the Honorable Minister to look at a way where we can restart or we can support the economies of the bottom, the people from right at the bottom. Because for an example, I was speaking to a gentleman recently. 20 years ago, he had started his career in tourism with a tuk-tuk, with a three-wheeler. And then he had gradually developed himself. And he has today, about 1 year ago, when the Easter attack happened, he had bought a car. And he was very proud of it. And he was calling himself a travel guide. But due to the Easter attacks, he was unable to make his repayments. And today he is back to square one. He is back in a three-wheeler, riding a three-wheeler. So it's very unfair. This is happening to everybody. I know monetariums have been given by banks to extent the grace periods have been given and the moratoriums have been given where the borrowers can pay later in the future. But however, even the interest part needs to be paid. So even if with the Easter attack, when the Easter attack started, it's been 2 years now. So 2 years later, the industry hasn't picked up. So how are these people going to run their business? There are backpackers. So many backpackers were there. So many home-based homestays were established. People have taken loans. All these industries are suffering. Honorable Ministers, I'd like you to try and see. I know it's a very hard challenge. It's not something that you're not a magician. I understand that. But I'd like to request you to try and see. And we're not a very rich country. We can't give out grants and dole money out. But I'm requesting you to maybe appoint a team to try and see what can be done to uplift the economy of these small scalers. Next, I'd like to take your attention to how we can develop some industries in the north and east of the country. I think one of the main things that need to be done is we need to increase the accessibility in the north and the east. Today, if you look at the south has been developed to an unimaginable level. And I think it's mainly due to the distance. So if you look at all, it's only 100 kilometers from Colombo. With the highway now, it's only a 1 hour drive. So if you look at from Colombo all the way up to Matara, Hambantota, because of the expressway, these areas have been developed. When I say these areas have been developed, I'm not saying that major hotels have come up or major tourism zones have been created. But what I'm trying to say is that the industry has gone right to the bottom. So people from right at the bottom to hoteliers have made really good gains. But if you look at the north and the east of this country, there's very little development, there's very little accessibility. Because if you look at a tourist who wants to travel to Jaffna today, if a tourist is going to spend 7 days in Sri Lanka, it will take 1 day to travel to Jaffna by road, 1 day back from Jaffna by road to come back to Colombo. Same with Batiklo. I travel from Batiklo every day after I should be used to it after traveling for 7 to 8 years, but even now it takes me half a day to recover after that journey. So how is a tourist going to travel to Jaffna or the Batiklo district or anywhere in the north and the east on a 7-day holiday? It's not acceptable. So we need to increase the accessibility. So we have so many ways we can do that. Thalaimana Rameswaram ferry. This ferry used to be a very, very lucrative business back in the day. I still don't understand why we haven't started it. The Thalaimana railway station has been completed. So if we can start Thalaimana ferry, we are opening ourselves to almost a population of 1 billion Indians who would like to come to Sri Lanka. The ticket prices could even be priced at 4,000 or 5,000 rupees. How many tourists could come in? And they will support the local industry more than the tourists that we are getting now. Look at the cargo. Look at the cargo that we can use. Even for Sri Lankans who want to travel to India, look at the free trade agreements that we have. Sri Lanka and India have free trade agreements which are not making use of. So we need to try and do it, because I'm saying this because it's great that tourism, ports and shipping and export have all coming together on the same day because they're all connected. So if we can develop the port, we can bring in tourists, we can develop our exports, we can have export zones around it. There's so many things can be done. Look at the Jaffna International Airport. Now, if I used to live in Australia, I lived and worked there. We used to get 10 days holidays. As an expat, I used to get 10 days off. When I used to come to Sri Lanka, by the time I get here, I lose 1 day in traveling because of transits. Then on the way back, I lose another day in traveling on transits. And when I travel to Sri Lanka, I lose 1 day traveling to the north and east. And then I lose 1 day traveling back to Colombo from the north and east. So 4 days of my 10 days are gone. And then I need 1 day each day. So technically, I want to have a holiday of 4 days. So people who live in the UK, Sri Lankan expats face this issue. Try and develop the Jaffna. We have gone and built the airport in Matala. I don't know how many people use it. But if you had built the airport in Jaffna long time ago, I think today we will not have these economic issues. Or we'll have very less economic issues. Look at the particular domestic airport. The only planes that we get there is the cinnamon planes. Or even the next set of planes, I think 70-seater. Why can't we have 40-seaters? These sort of things need to be looked at. This is how we can develop it. Look at the train. Because his former president was there in Polonnaruwa, he brought a train service up to Polonnaruwa. Why can't this train service be extended to Batiklo? I went to the consultative committee meeting yesterday when Honorable Gajendrakumar was also there. I mentioned this there. Upgrade the track. That is how you can bring tourists to the north and the east. Otherwise, how are they going to come? Why would they come? I mean, just to see a beach, they're not going to travel to Bangalore. They can travel to, somewhere in the south. So we need to look at increasing accessibility to increase the number of tourists who travel to the north and the east. Because I went to the COPE meeting the other day because I'm part of COPE, and in the Central Expressway Highway, for it to be done, there's been a feasibility study that been done for 1.5 billion rupees, and that feasibility study had not been used. But to develop an airport in Jaffna, but to develop money. What is this?
Deputy Speaker will take the chair now.
Oh, thank you. Also, I'd like to start from where I stopped. So I was saying that we should develop the accessibility to the north and the east. And once we develop the accessibility to the north and the east, let's say we finally get tourists to come to the north and the east, what's there to be done in the north and the east? That's the next question that we'd like to address. Now, if you look at Batiklo, sometimes when my friends come to Batiklo, they come and stay at Pasika and they'll be like, Masa, where they are near. Batiklo district, then I'm scared. Because by the time, if we leave at 8:39, by 12 o'clock, we'll be back at the hotel. Right? So I try and late after breakfast. But you go to Batiklo town, you get on the boat near the lighthouse, and then you do the tour, you go and see the Batiklo fort, then the Batiklo gate, then the Kalladi bridge, and then you come back to the hotel. Right? So we need to, a singing sir, that used to be a long time ago anymore. So, we need to create opportunities in Batiklo. I mean, look at the resources that we have in Batiklo. Batiklo has a lagoon that's nearly 80 kilometers long. I don't know how many people are aware of it. Right? It's got the same atmosphere as Kerala. People travel to Kerala just to go on houseboats. Why haven't we done that? Why can't we look at that? I mean, I'll come to that later. There are other things. There's an island called Mantiv. It used to be a leper's island, where when leprosy was a very big pandemic in Sri Lanka, that leprosy patients were kept in this island. And there are cottages there. There's a hospital. During the COVID time, they tried to take over for a COVID hospital. We opposed it. Thank God it didn't end up becoming there, because that island, it's on an island. It's home to so many migratory birds. And even recently, there were some tourists who had come and there were flamingos there. I was surprised. I didn't know there were flamingos there. Right? There are so many migratory birds. There are so many buildings there. Why can't we renovate these buildings? And that will be a reason why people want to come to Batiklo. Does Sri Lanka have a single theme park? Do we have a single theme park? I know Reshavud was there. I mean, look at Gold Coast. People in Australia, people travel to the Gold Coast just to go, enjoy theme parks. When I was a kid, I went to Singapore. I was taken to good time. I didn't come back. I mean, we need to create ideas like this. We need to generate ideas like this to develop the north and the east. I'm not just saying north and east. We can have a theme park in Sri Lanka. But I'm specifically speaking about north and east because there are other parts. Now, if you look at Polonnaruwa, people will go to look at ruins. See, people will go to climb the rock. Kandy people will go to look at the Maligaon. Right? Why would someone come to the north and east? And even the resources that we have, we are not developing it. Sorry? That's exactly right. So right now, with the temples, the archaeology department is more interested in land grabbing, not developing them as tourist sites, which is what our issue is. Archaeological department has now come. I mean, thanks for mentioning that. Archaeological department, I think her name was Nilu, brought that to the attention of Honorable Mr. Gajendrakumar. මේ ආර්කියොලොජිකල් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකට ඇති අපි මේකේ 500ක් ඉස්සර තිබ්බා කියලා අවුරුදු 5000කට සෝරි අවුරුදු 500කට කලින් එයා කියන මට ඕන මෙතන 40න් දාන්න පුළුවන් මට ඕන මෙතන 400න් දාන්න පුළුවන්. I mean, who has given her the power? Nilu then she's telling me අපිට ඕන අපි ගිය මාසෙම දාගන්න තිබ්බා කිව්වා. I mean, temples, yeah, your archaeological department is more interested in land grabbing, not developing this at tourism sites. I thank you for reminding me that. Now, if you look at more, there are so many other things that we can develop. There's no golf course in the north. Why don't you look at doing that? Now, what is the government doing? Create some export zones create some tourism zones. But instead of tourism, creating tourist zones, what normally happens is land grab. Now, I'd like to take your attention to something that happened in Pasikuda in 2010. Tourism department lands were given over, handed over, doled over to God knows who. They were sold for 1 billion. I know who, but they never went to proper investors. Politicians took them in 2010 and they sold them for exorbitant prices. Right? In 2010, they were sold. I know some people who own them. I don't want that to happen again in the North and East, but I think that is what's going to happen, because I got a report from the Director General for Tourism, development of Kuchaveli Beach Resort, Medway Estate in Trincomalee, Rasol Totem Land in Trincomalee, right? Mana, all these places, 74 acres in one place, another 21.57 acres in one place. All these places are being listed out, right? They have been identified as potential places for tourism. I mean, why are you worrying about land? Leave the land aside, bring investments. Now, investments doesn't mean bring hotels. People will come, some multinational company will come, build a hotel. Adakalapo district, there Basikuda has nearly 20 hotels. But if we go inside and we ask them who's working there, it will always be, we brought people from Colombo, we brought people from Kandy. So then I asked them why. And they said that we don't have skilled workers here. These beautiful beaches have been given over to multinational companies. Even Sri Lankans from anywhere else can't come and enjoy these beaches, because these multinationals have security guards on the beach and they're blocked off to the public. Someone's robbing us, right? But to do this skilled labor they don't have in Batiklo. So I said, why don't we develop skilled labor? But then I looked at the progress report for Ministry of Tourism, on which in the year of 2018, in Daphne there have been 12 students in the Hotel Management Institute. In 2019 there have been 23. In 2020 there have been 36. In Pasikuda, 51, 94, 37. 2018, 19, don't blame saying this is Yapane government, all that. Whatever government is power is responsible. I mean, how are you going to develop skill then? Hotel school doesn't have any people in the North and East. What is happening instead? I mean, land grab is happening. What is happening ahead in this country? Instead of developing this, what is happening in this country? What is happening right now is that this government is trying to create unnecessary issues to cover up for their inabilities. That is what's happening in this country. මේ රටේ නැති බිල්ලෙක් මවල පාන තමයි කරන්නේ මේ රටේ. මේ රජයේ තියෙන වැරදි පාගන්න මේ නැති බිල්ලෙක් මවල පානවා. අද බලන්න මඩකලපුව දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ඉන්නේ උතුරු නැගෙනහිර ළමයි 50කට 60කට ඇරස් කරලා තියෙනවා. මොකද Facebook එකේ පෝස්ට් එකක් දැම්මා කියලා. නොවැම්බර් 26 වෙනිදා 27 වෙනිදා 27 වෙනිදා Facebook එකේ විවිධ පෝස්ට් දානවා. සාතාව ළමයි ඇරස් කරලා දැන් රජයේ සේවකයෙක්. හරිද? රජයේ සේවක අවුරුදු 29 එයා ඇරස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ මොකද? තව කවුද කෙනෙක් එයාව ටැග් කරලා Facebook එකේ. දැන් මම අද මෙතන മന്ത്രി කෙනෙක් මම Facebook එකේ ටැග් කරලා ප්‍රභාකරන් ෆොටෝ එකක් දැම්මොත් එහෙම ඒ മന്ത്രിවරයාගේ වැරද්ද. No, they've been arrested under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. You're ruining their future. How dare you do that? Go and arrest all these drug smugglers. What's happening? You're arrested for putting a Facebook post. I think what it has been done is it is government's policy to cover up their inabilities. This failing economy. I mean, we are not blaming this government. We are not pointing fingers at this government and saying that, this government to turn things around, because, I mean, COVID is a pandemic that's affecting the world. We understand that. Why are you all trying to cover up your inabilities by doing such things? Look at the other things that have been done. War cemeteries have been destroyed. Right? When I say war cemeteries, now it's a cemetery. Take war aside. Who touches a cemetery? I mean, how bad is that? How dare you touch a cemetery? Are you that scared? I mean, why would you touch a cemetery? Look at the things that have been done. Kartigai Deepam, it's a light of festival of lights. On the 29th of this month, it was a festival of lights. The police, I wish the Honorable Minister for Police was here. He's been jumping up every day for every single person's comment. Unfortunately, he's not here. Kartigai Deepam, his police force has gone and destroyed it. Some temples decorated the lights with little candles, Deepams. Kartigai Deepam is the festival of lights. They've been destroyed. Why? I think I'll tell you why. Because this government is made billek mawala pennane. Pawne ahinsa sinhala janatawa. Me sinhala rate inna sinhala janatawa ඇත්තටම පව්. මොකද දැන් ඇත්තටම වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? දැන් ඊයේ ජීජී පොන්නම්බල මහත්මයා කතා කරපු මේකෙන් මිනිස්සු ඔක්කොම හරි සතුටු නැති. අන්න දැන් ජීජී පොන්නම්බල පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මෙහෙම කතා කරා. අපේ සරත් ඉරසේකට මෙහෙම කතා කරා. අපි ගෝඨාභය මහත්තයාට ඡන්ද දුන්න නිසා මෙහෙම කතා කරේ. This is all nonsense. This is all nonsense. There is no issue in this country. You are creating an issue. Because you're not able to manage the country, you're creating issues. This is how Zaharan happened. I'll tell you, you're pointing fingers at Muslim politicians and innocent Muslims in this country. How did Zaharan happen? Zaharan happened because you created Zaharan. This, I don't know which government, one of the governments created Zaharan. Aludgam attack. I read on the page, I read one of the investigations. East attack එක සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච ළමයෙක් කියලා තියෙනවා. එයා අලුත්ගම attack එකෙන් පස්සේ එයාගේ හිත වෙනස් වුණේ කියලා. You keep attacking the minorities like this, but it's going to happen. Naturally, they're going to react in some way. Maybe they were exploited by some other force. Naturally, someone is going to use them. So, Aludgama incident. Why was that created? Who created that? Then look at the issues after that. I will talk to them later. I mean, what is this? Doctors are creating unnecessary unrest in this country to cover up your inabilities. Now look at what's happening. I mean, you know, the Honorable Minister was talking about people who should be ashamed, right? I am ashamed as a Sri Lankan today. Look at the Muslims. I mean, what are they asking for? They are asking for their last rights. They are asking for the janazas to be buried. You know, these innocent Muslim people, they live all their lives according to the Quran. And right towards the end, their last right, you take it away for politics. You all should be ashamed. I'm ashamed. And I'm ashamed of all the Muslim politicians who supported this government for the 20th Amendment. இந்த இடத்தில் கிழக்கு மாகாணத்தை சேர்ந்த ஒரே ஒரு பாராளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர் மட்டும்தான் இஸ்லாமிய பாராளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர் இந்த அரசாங்கத்துக்கு 20ஆம் திருச்சட்டத்துக்கு ஆதரவு அளிக்கிறார். இந்த பாராளுமன்றத்தில் இருக்கும் அனைத்து கிழக்கு மாகாணத்தை சேர்ந்த இலங்கையில் இருக்கும் அனைத்து இஸ்லாமிய பாராளுமன்ற உறுப்பினரை பார்க்க அவமானமாக இருக்கு. என்றால் உங்களுடைய மக்களுடைய அந்த இறுதி சடங்கை செய்யறதுக்கு கூட அனுமதி அளிக்காத ஒரு அரசாங்கத்துக்கு ஆதரவு அளித்திருக்கீங்க. People are going to courts. Minorities are going for courts. Why? What are they going to courts for? For their basic rights. They are going to courts. They are going to courts because you're not letting them bury their bodies. Tamil people are going to courts for fundamental rights. I went to courts in particular. Why? Because there's a mother who wants to light up a lamp in remembrance of her son. A father wants to light up a lamp in remembrance of his son. For you all maybe it's LTT. For me, for him, for us, it's a different thing. But for a mother, the son is the son. He's not part of it. For her, it doesn't matter if it's LTT or what. Son. Mama piyak marala gayat mamitane mage amma mage mampa. LTT never. You know, why can't you respect that? Tamils are going to courts to remember the dead. Muslims are going to court to bury their dead. Look at the Catholic community in this country. We have so many debates about the Catholic cardinal now. Cardinal is begging for right justice to be done to his dead. So this is the point countries come to. We should be ashamed. And then the Honorable Minister for Police was talking about me rate sinhala මිනිස්සු මම පාගල කියන්නේ නැති බිල්ල මම පෙන්නන්නේ දෙමළ මුස්ලිම් කට්ටිය මේ රටේ ප්‍රශ්නේ. We have to worry about Chinese investments. The Honorable Minister for Ports and Shipping is here. We have to worry about Chinese investments. China is investing very heavily in ports. Do we want to be another Pakistan? Do we want to be another Laos? They are getting into debt trap, Chinese debt trap. Tell the Sinhala people this. Sinhala ජාතියට කියන්න අද මේ රටේ නැති බිල්ල දෙමළ මිනිස්සු නෙවෙයි තියෙන බිල්ල. චීනේ තියෙන බිල්ල. Tell them. If you're so gutsy, go in front of the Sinhala community. මේ සිංහල රජය ඉස්සරහ සිංහල මිනිස්සු ඉස්සරහ කියලා කියන්න. මේ රටේ චීන ආයෝජන කරන. Tell me the number of jobs that the Chinese have created in this country. Tell me the number of jobs. All the Chinese investments come. What happens? Chinese come and work. They're investing, they'll take their money, they'll leave. Why you think Port City is being built? Because they love us. Port City is being No. Port City is being built because they want a base in Southeast Asia, on the Indian Ocean, not because they love us. We are allowing that. But what are we going to do? සිංහල මිනිස්සු රවට්ටන්න කියන අන්න ජීජී පොන්නම්බල මෙදා කතා කරා යාට විරුද්ධව සත් විරසේකර මෙහෙම කිව්වා අපි තමයි මේ දැක්කනේ මේ දුන්න නිසා කතා කරේ. I mean we are just sorry
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා සභාව ඉතාමත්ම
please don't honorable speaker
යවනවා. එතුමා කිව්වා මේ පොයින්ට් මේ
order.
ඔබතුමා කතා කරන්න.
Oh Don't let them abuse these standing orders. Honorable Leader of the House, please have a meeting with your SLPB fellows. විනාඩි 6ක් තියෙනවා මට ආයෙ විනාඩි 6ක් තියෙනවා. මම මේක දන්න
විනාඩි 29යි.
මට ඇමතුමා මේක කරන්න එපා. මොකද අපේ වෙලාව මේ නාස්ති කන්න දිලියට මගේ වෙලාවෙන් නවත්තන්න එපා. මගේ විනාඩි 6 දෙන්න point of order නේ වැඩියන්න. point of order.
මෙතුමා මේ සෞඛ්‍ය ප්‍රශ්නයක් නිතර මේ සිංහල ජාතියට පැත්තට දානවා. ඒකට
වැඩියන්න. Shame on this government. Just, we don't want to be a Chinese money. In this country, Muslims are going to court, Catholics are going to asking for justice, Tamils for asking, get your people in order. Leader of the House, get your people in order. These are not MPs. Who are the fellows? You have brought them here just to do this. Let them make a point in Parliament. Right? And then behave yourself, and what is the language that you use? In conclusion, it is behavior like this that strengthens us. It's behavior like this that strengthens us. Thank you. When you all behave like this, it strengthens our cause. It strengthens our cause. Stop raging about the war. Stop harping about the war. War was finished 11 years ago. Gun hammer kel malana yuddha dinapu nayakaya. Yuddha ivara. Right?
පොඩේ ගරු නියෝජක කතානායකතුමනි
කැටියෙන් කියන්න.
මට දැනුවත් විය යුතුයි පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් විදියට අපේ කල ගණකයක් තියාගෙන අපිට ඔබතුමාගේම කියන ප්‍රමාණ කාලය පිළිබඳව තීරණයක් ගැනීමට හැකියාවක් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරුන්ට වෙනම තියෙනවද කියලා.
How are you allowing this point? I mean, you should have a meeting with them. These are what points of order, sir. This is absurd. 75 years. I don't know how much time I have left with all this. How much time I have left, sir?
2 minutes.
No, I have 4 minutes, sir. Give me 4 minutes. Let me finish this. So anyway, I wanted to say more things, but then I've been disturbed like this. But it has been, yesterday, when we spoke, the day before yesterday, Honorable G.D. Ponnambalam said something very important. He said, you must succeed one day in completely destroying us. Right, if you keep going at this pace. But I'd like to tell you something. It's taken 72 years and you still haven't been able to destroy our voices. Right? Even if it takes another 75 years, you all will not be able to destroy our voices. Right? What you all will destroy is you all will destroy this country. This country will go back. We will all get destroyed. Let's join hands in getting destroyed, if that's what you want. You want to get destroyed? Let's join hands. Worry about the Chinese. Don't worry about us. Don't worry about us. Worry about the Chinese, because you've been hitting us so hard. I actually like to say something that my grandfather said in Parliament in 1969. In July 25th of July 1969, he said, Mr. Speaker, I'm ashamed that 70 years later this speech is still relevant. Mr. Speaker, my late grandfather was the leader of the Federal Party at one point. He was a member of Parliament from 52 to 70, and he said this in the Parliament in 1969. Mr. Speaker, I'll finish this within 1 minute. I'll finish. Mr. Speaker, the Federal Party has existed for more than 20 years. Our objective, our ideal, our goal, our scientific theory has been that this country should have a federal form of government. Now, why do we say that? We are supposed to have a democratic form of government. Democracy is one of the very loose words that is used for a concept, and a form of government which sometimes exists and sometimes does not exist in the theoretical form. So I don't want to speak the whole thing. This speech is still very relevant after 70 years. I will finish up in one last saying. With one last saying. Hatred cannot be removed by hatred. Hatred cannot be removed by hatred. Love. You guys boast that this is a single Buddhist country. You all can't even allow us Tamil to speak. Single Buddhist country, you have to love people, not disturb people like this. If you're a single Buddhist country, if you're a Buddhist, first if you're a Buddhist, learn to respect human beings. Learn to respect human beings. Thank you.